Well, this is absolutely terrifying. They're able to actually spy on us using Wi-Fi. I mean, forget videos, forget surveillance, forget microphones, all of the things we think about when it comes to surveilling people. They're now actually able to compose video imagery and figure out who's in a room, what you're doing, all just using Wi-Fi signals, which we're all surrounded with right now. Here is Cyber Maddie, and she explains this on her YouTube channel. We sped it up, but watch this.
Wi-Fi, as we know it, is on the verge to becoming a sensing technology, capable of understanding movement, presence, and gestures without cameras. So what does this mean for surveillance and for your privacy? Wi-Fi sensing has been around for longer than you may think. In the early 2000s, researchers figured out that Wi-Fi signals moved and changed as people moved through a space. And by 2013, a researcher figured out that you could detect human breathing through a wall using nothing but a Wi-Fi router. And now the IE, or some may call it the IEEE, or some may call it the IEEE, has standardized this. And it is called 802.11bf, which is a Wi-Fi sensing capabilities being integrated within all routers. So this turns existing Wi-Fi into a person sensing tool without using cameras or wearables or anything like that, just using Wi-Fi and then the waves that it emits. So I wanted to see for myself how much Wi-Fi could actually see. I grabbed a cheap ESP32 board and flashed some open source firmware onto it and pointed it at myself to see if Wi-Fi could detect my presence and other people's presence in a room. So when I got everything hooked up, it did sense my presence. It saw my heart rate, my breathing rhythm, it did my pose detection, and it detected multiple people walking around within the space. Now, for this experiment, I only had one ESP32 board, which it does recommend at least 2, so the sensing is a little janky compared to if you had 2 or multiple ESP32 boards, but with only one ESP32, it does get the job done. When it was detecting 2 people walking around, as you can see, the bigger blob of light was me, and I think with the one sensor, it had trouble positioning me in the space within the software. As you can see by the ghost person moving around me rapidly, it did get the job done, and it did sense 2 people. So how does Wi-Fi sensing actually work? Think of your Wi-Fi like a sonar. So for example, bats use sonar to figure out where they are within a space. They send out sound waves and it bounces off objects and then comes back to them. Wi-Fi does the same thing, but with radio waves. Every time a Wi-Fi signal bounces off your body, it comes back as something different. So the data actually transforms as it bounces off objects. And those tiny differences have data that encode your heartbeat, breathing rate, your presence, your pose. So this is technically called CSI sensing. So why would Wi-Fi sensing even need to be implemented in the first place? Now, Wi-Fi sensing works anywhere where Wi-Fi exists, which is pretty much everywhere all the time. You don't need any extra hardware or any extra setup. You just need Wi-Fi to be able to sense people and where they are. Now, the interesting part, because there are no cameras, it actually avoids those pesky privacy regulations. One thing this country needs is more technology to avoid privacy regulations more than we're already doing. Now, some reasons that the developers give that this Wi-Fi sensing might be useful to organizations or to you personally. These are somewhat normal use cases such as elderly care, hospital, patient monitoring, things like that. Like, yeah, I could see this being used for those use cases, and that's somewhat valid. Now, the more so concerning use cases is in the hotel and hospitality section. Room occupancy without door sensors, minibar and bathroom usage patterns, energy savings on empty rooms. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want someone seeing an infrared outline of me and my bathroom usage or my hotel room occupancy. But
no kidding. So this is all extremely scary. And you can watch that full thing, Cyber Maddie. Very, very frightening that now Wi-Fi could just be used to spy on us. They don't even need video cameras anymore. They can just use Wi-Fi and see an outline of you and what you're doing in your hotel room, using the bathroom, using your bed, doing whatever it is you do in your bed and in your bathroom. And they could see all of that. They could see people coming and going from your house. They could see what you're doing, where you are in your house. I mean, just imagine all of the things they could do. And because the laws have not caught up to this, it could be done. It's spying without spying. I mean, that's where we're at right now with this. This is very, very frightening. I want to show you something else that's really frightening. J.D. Vance gave this speech and he says, AI is now the future of military, and this should be frightening to us all.
But the thing I worry about most with AI is how it will change warfare. Now, Pope Leo the 14th, in a recent document, encouraged us as human beings not to outsource the most important moral decisions to digital technology.
I think it's interesting that he is citing the Pope after he just got into a big beef with the Pope, and now he's pretending like he actually listens to the Pope. But the Pope was saying we should not outsource our most important decisions. That would be warfare, should not be outsourced to AI. And if you remember, AI is implicated in potentially being the reason why the school of girls was bombed in the first day of the Iran war, that it was incorrectly targeted by AI, incorrectly identified by AI. And if that's the case, AI should never, ever, ever be used, ever, for warfare. In fact, drones are controversial enough because it takes the humanness out of the attack. Dropping bombs is actually something that that's when bombs started being dropped a lot. That was something that was also very controversial as potentially immoral. To drop a bomb on an entire village of people, that is immoral. It's totally immoral. To do that in an act of warfare in order to win a war, to terrorize, kill, murder, massacre civilians. We have just gone so far in our brutality in society that we've just disconnected entirely from humanness to the point where, we'll just use some AI to make the decisions for us so that no one is at fault when people like little girls in a school get killed.
And I want to endorse that sentiment and make it more specific to each and every one of you. AI will inevitably change warfare. And of course, as you've learned over the last 4 years, it already has. But one of the things that makes Americans unique, that makes you as warfighters unique, is that we wage war justly.
No, we don't. All we do is wage war. Who else is using the AI for warfare? Let's just ask this question. So when JD Vance says, well, it's inevitable, AI is going to be used for warfare. Yeah, but who's waging war? So who's using the AI for warfare? Oh, it's just us. We're the ones waging war. So we're the ones who are going to be using AI for warfare. China's not waging any war. So even though China is, at this point, arguably the leader in AI, China's not waging any war with anybody. So what does he mean? It's inevitably going to be used for warfare. Well, not if China doesn't wage any war, and they're not. Okay, so Russia's waging war, right? So they've got a war going on in Ukraine. They probably use AI. I'm sure Ukraine's using AI. So you've got Russia and Ukraine and the United States and Israel and maybe Iran, using AI. Only people at war use AI. And we're constantly at war. So when he's saying AI is going to inevitably be used for war, yeah, well, that's us constantly waging war and using AI. Who else is using it? So, or we don't have to. We don't actually have to use it. We could actually set the global precedent and say, no, it's immoral and it's inhumane to use AI because AI gets things wrong. In fact, I asked AI a simple math question today. I'm not kidding you. I asked it a math question. I asked it to convert inches to centimeters and then add the 2 centimeters together. I was trying to measure my ceiling to my floor. I have really high ceilings, and I am in Europe right now, and they use centimeters for everything. And so I was measuring in inches, and I needed things converted, and AI literally gave me the wrong answer and said that my ceilings were 7 feet tall, that I had 7 feet ceilings, that the inches that I had converted to a number of centimeters, and it was I have 9.5 foot ceilings, and it was saying 7 feet. I mean, AI got a simple math problem wrong that I could have gotten correctly if I wasn't too lazy and I wasn't using a calculator, which I should have been using, right? Because obviously that's way more reliable than AI. So to allow AI to wage war, to make decisions in war when it can't even get basic math questions correctly, I mean, it's one thing. You could kind of expect AI to get maybe some facts wrong because it goes and searches the internet. Maybe it pulls the wrong fact. But to get a math problem wrong, that's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And yet, it did. It got the math. Actually, I'll tell you exactly what the math problem was, just because it's so indicative. I said, okay, because I had to do 2 measurements because it's 9.5 foot ceilings, right? So I couldn't measure it all in one. And I did 31 inches to the top of the door and then 86 inches from the top of the door down to the floor. And I said, 31 inches and 86 inches is how many in centimeters? And AI says 31 inches is 78.74 centimeters. 86 inches is 218.44 centimeters. And I said, okay, so my ceilings are about how tall in feet? And it says 86 inches is 7 feet 2 inches tall. And I was like, no, that's not right. And I said, no, add that up again. I said, 31 plus 86 inches is how many inches? And it says 117 inches. And I said, okay, and that equals how many feet? It says 9 feet, 9 inches. Okay, then. I said, wow. I even said to it, wow, you're AI and you screwed up the math in the beginning of this conversation. It says, yeah, you're right, I did. You're right, I did. Okay. So if you don't fact check the AI, I mean, it just gets a basic math problem wrong. What makes you think it's going to get warfare correct? So it's totally immoral that we use this type of technology thinking that we're getting things right. Or to even use these Wi-Fi signals to spy on people. How do you know the Wi-Fi signals are even accurate when you see them? And what are you going to do? You're going to take aim. You're going to use those Wi-Fi signals and AI to take aim at somebody and to try to send a targeted weapon at them, only for you to find out that you targeted the wrong person because your AI and your Wi-Fi sensing was wrong. I mean, that's where we're at with society. And it gets used on even a small scale. You know, all of this surveillance tech, all of this stuff that they're implementing, that they're rolling out on us. It's not just warfare that we have to be afraid of. It's not just Wi-Fi sensing and surveillance, but it's also just everyday activity. Watch this girl. She's in China, and this is what she's going through. And this could just hit us all here soon enough.
So the latest in this dystopian outrage that is now all of China, apparently, is I once again cannot buy food. A couple days ago, my uncle and my cousin helped me get a cell phone that is linked to a Chinese bank card so that I could buy anything. But now, apparently, it has been flagged for some reason, and I have to pass facial recognition identity verification, which is insane, because all I want to do is just spend my gift card balance on this debit card. I can't believe I'm doing this. I have to open my mouth. Oh my god. Terrifying. And of course, because it was my cousin who set this up for me, I did not pass verification. I guess it's a good thing that the Chinese app is not racist. But now, I once again can't buy anything.
So, I mean, this is the future that we're headed into. This is what they want is, I mean, even now, you know, if you're using like Apple Pay with your phone, you know, you double click and then you hold it up to your face and it verifies it's you and then you can pay for things. But what if it stops verifying it's you? What if there's some sort of a block and then you're not able to use your money? I mean, that's where we're headed with all of this tech that they're rolling out. It is just marching us toward a dystopian world of a lot of control and a lot of mistakes and a lot of error. I mean, there she is, not able to buy food because of the error and the Face ID. You've got AI making errors all over the place, can't even do simple math. I mean, granted, I know I was being lazy and I should have just whipped out a calculator. But I'm just trying to prove a point. Like AI just sucked on that. I know I did too, but AI should have known because it's supposed to be kind of like a calculator. But this is the world we're living in now, I guess, is that, you know, we're going to march toward an AI warfare and surveillance state and Wi-Fi sensing, and we're just not safe anywhere, unfortunately. Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson show, which you can watch Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.